Hey guys, Matt here. Welcome back to this week's portfolio update. I like to show my portfolio once a week, once every other week, somewhere around that, as I believe that sets me apart from the other stock YouTubers out there, and that I show my receipts. And I gotta say, for the most part, other than Intel and Meta, which we will be talking about later in this video, I gotta say, things aren't looking too bad. Jibo has been up all week, and I'm a little concerned about that. I mean, given Jivo's performance going all the way up and crashing back down for the past several months, yeah, I'm a little concerned. But you know what? I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth, but I'm also not going to hold my breath either. Palantir has been above $10 and has stayed above $10. Tesla going to approaching 900 bucks. Walgreens is slowly inching its way back. AT&T, yeah, not exactly the best earnings, but I mean, I'm using this as an opportunity. I already made a video about that. Bank of America on its way back up. FedEx is on its way back up. So far, things are looking really, really good. I know Qualcomm has some pretty good earnings as well. Now let's talk about Intel and Meta. Meta's earnings were absolutely awful. Now, Intel brought out its earnings yesterday. Meta was going to be the focus of today's video. But yeah, Intel's earnings were much, much worse. I mean, but let's start with Meta. Meta missed on EPS. Meta missed on revenue. I mean, they missed on all accounts. I mean, they slightly beat the daily active users, but the monthly actives, the average revenue per user, all were slightly short. Not only that, but the guidance was also pretty awful. Their revenue in the third quarter ranged from, they're guiding between 26 to 28.5 billion, which is less than the 30.5 billion. I mean, this is not a good earnings at all. I don't think anyone's going to argue with me on that. Now, Intel's earnings were absolutely catastrophically awful. Now, the short version with Meta is, yes, I'm very disappointed, but my investment strategy in the company hasn't changed. Intel, these earnings actually got me to stop and think about my investment. And I do have a decision, and towards the end of the video, I will tell you how I'm going to be investing in Intel, and it's not what you think. We're talking 29 cents per share adjusted versus 70 cents per share expected, which is goddamn awful. Revenue, 15.3 billion versus 17.9 billion as expected. I mean, these earnings were bad enough that Intel had to lower its full year expectations. Their guidance went from $3.60 EPS to $2.30 per share, which is, yeah. They also went from 76 billion in revenue down to 65 to 68 billion in revenue. Like, it was that bad. Like, this is, like, it was bad enough to make me reconsider my position in Intel. Now, I'm not going to go deep into earnings because I'm sure you guys have seen it by now, but this is the part that gets me. So when I first bought Intel a few years ago, this was after their major delay of the 7nm chips when the price dropped from like 60 bucks to 40 bucks. I bought Intel after that because I love turnaround plays. And when I bought Intel, I knew this was going to be a long-term play because I knew that for the next several years, throughout 2024, 2025, maybe further than that, I knew that AMD has got Intel. I knew that NVIDIA has got Intel. I knew that Qualcomm has got Intel. I knew that. So I was waiting for a long slog. But I also had the impression that Intel was trying to turn itself around as far as operationally. And until this earnings, I believed it. Now, this right here is what gets me. The sudden and rapid decline in economic activity was the largest driver of the shortfall, but Q2 also reflected our own execution issues in areas like product design, DCAI, and the rep of AXG offerings. So the part is that they don't have their act together, not at least as much as we thought. Like, it's great that, yes, the economic environment is terrible. We know that. The supply chain issues are terrible. I was prepared to believe that. But for Intel failing to execute, like, they're not making their earnings. They're just not making their numbers. I mean, just look at this right here. Their revenue down 22% year over year. Their gross margin is absolutely horrible. Like, absolutely horrific on a GAAP and non-GAAP basis. Their CCG, which is their client computers, down 25%. DCAI down 16%. Like, they are not performing at all. Now, they do have a lot of good things going for the company. they're shutting off more and more parts of the business, like AT&T's doing. So I do respect that. They did get a bill. Well, they did help in getting a bill passed. The chips bill, which is supposed to help Intel build their fabs, their factories. And because I mean, the idea for Intel is pretty cool. Their plan is pretty cool. Like they're going to, if things go as planned and they do their end of the work by 2025, they're expected to compete with TSM as far as being a chip manufacturer for themselves and for others, and to regain their lost glory. And I'm all about that, because the chip shortage, yeah, I mean, if Intel becomes a major player, they're going to have a hand in preventing future chip shortages, and that's going to make Intel a much more valuable company. And that's why I'm holding Intel for the long term, is that, yes, if they execute, they're going to become a huge player again. The important part, though, is if they execute. One thing I value highly about companies is their ability to execute and meet their own goals. It's the same with Gevo. Gevo has a lot of money on the table, but they have to do the work. And the latest earnings from Intel, at least as far as past report, is that Intel is failing to execute. They could have all the plans in the world, all the great planning in place, but if they can't execute on that, if they keep failing in the manufacturing phase or the sales phase or anything like that, like they're going to fall by the wayside. Like this whole foundry thing is going to be worthless. So how am I investing from here on out? Well, let's talk about how I've been investing. Now, my normal method of investing, in case you don't know, is every month I put in $3,000 into my portfolio. And then from there, every single week on Monday, I put $300 into a growth stock. And every Wednesday or Thursday, I put $300 into a value stock. That's how I'm investing for the time being. On Monday, I put my $300 into Meta. And on Wednesday, I put $300 into AT&T. Now, I'm trying to keep that on a very strict schedule. I don't want to time the market or anything like that. That's why I didn't wait till after earnings to put money into, to decide whether to put money into Meta or not. How am I investing from here on out? Well, with Meta, I'm a little disappointed about the earnings, but like I said, I'm going to keep investing as normal. So on Monday, if these prices continue to stay down, I'll put my $300 into Meta, and I'm going to keep doing that for the time being. Now, I'd like to start putting money into Palantir, but with this trend up, I don't know if I'm going to do that. I might still do that. I don't know. Now, with Intel, I don't know. Now, I don't know if I'm going to keep adding money into Intel, especially with their execution issues. Now, I'm definitely not going to sell Intel for now. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. They did say in the earnings that they believe they're on the bottom. They believe that. So as far as all their troubles and stuff, they're considering this the bottom. Well, now we're going to see if that's true or not. They said that their price increases and a seasonal improvement in the fourth quarter should bring gross margin back to 51 to 53%. That will be great. So I'm going to hold them to that. I'm going to continue to hold Intel for the next couple of quarters. And we're going to see if their execution improves. If their execution gets better, fantastic. I'll keep holding and I may keep buying more shares. If their execution doesn't improve, then okay, I may have to take the loss and put my money into a position that will hopefully do better. But we'll have to see about that. But anyways, let me know what you're doing with your Intel holdings, if you have them, if you're buying, if you're selling, if you're holding. Let me know in the comments. But anyways, take care, have a great day, and eat your vegetables.